we were on our annual cabin trip, right? You remember this moment?
I do.
Okay, cool. Because I was very curious. I was like, you were like, yo, we don't have to have this conversation now. And I was like, you know what? I am curious as to what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
So just to recount it, we sat in the kitchen.
No, this is like at 4 a.m. at that too, right?
Was it that early?
It was like stupid early. You were up too, I think.
I was up every night.
I think we were all up in the kitchen.
Okay, yes, but it was a bunch of people in the kitchen, and we listened to Kanye. I forgot what the song was, but I think it was Highlights off of The Life of Pablo, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, even though I'm upset with him right now with the whole Adidas thing, using black people, what he's always done his whole career, right? But now I'm to my breaking point, callback, of when I'm like, all right, I can't keep doing this on a day-to-day, because it just feels a little weird to me. But in that moment, I'm listening to Highlights, and I'm like, damn, this was that dude. So much so, I say, I love Kanye more than I love my own father. So that you in the kitchen and you react. What? How? And I'm curious.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out if I was actively engaged with the conversation or if I just heard it. And I'm like, what? It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, it just shocked you.
It shocked the shit out of me.
I don't think I was saying it to nobody outside of just feeling like, dang, because I will stand on it. I think I do love Kanye West more than I love my own father.
That was like that Solid Snake moment with the exclamation point, just like, whoa. like, huh? And I was like, you know what? I don't exactly remember what I said. Maybe I did say, hey, we're not going to.
Yeah, he was like.
We'll hold this one. Uh-huh. And I said that because I don't know your relationship with your father.
I think that's all. I think you did say that.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I was like, at first I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then I'm just like, hold, pause. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
why is it ridiculous?
I mean,
like
so
yes.
So just based on just me in general, like, okay, I have a relationship with my pops. Like I said, I don't know anything that's going on with you and your pops, but I'm like, dang, like, I can't love no artist more than I like my own pops.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
As much as I love the artist, but like I said, that's based on my own personal relationship with my father, and sometimes I automatically assume that everybody almost got something similar to what I have for my own.
That's fair.
And that's why
that's fair.
like raised eyebrows. Like, whoa, what?
Yeah, because we're having a conversation now, and I feel like listening to you describe your situation, I feel like that's because you actually understand a father-son relationship to some extent. Mm-hmm. My father was not in my life, like pretty much at all. Like up until 2, people say he was in my life, and then he did what black fathers in the hood do. So, and then he died in 08 when I was in the 8th grade. So like it really wasn't no time to even kind of establish it, even though obviously I feel like I have father issues and stuff like that, and I've always wanted to establish that connection with him. But me being young, him being an adult, you're supposed to be doing this stuff. Right. So I don't have that experience of actually being connected to a biological father. So to go a little bit deeper into it, I saw my father probably randomly once a month, and he lived close to us. So at that point, social media was popping off, Facebook, Instagram and stuff. I'm saying Kanye West just as much as I'm saying my own father. and the college dropout was that. My father's never given me a college dropout. So like for me, I think it was just a connection. Like I didn't have the memories from my father. So I had memories listening to Kanye West's music. And I'm like, it sucks to say. I was saying it jokingly, but it is true. I have more relationship, or my understanding definition of just like what I like in a person. I was trying to figure out how to say that. More with Kanye West than my own father.
I get you. Do you feel like Kanye, or obviously you feel like Kanye probably, because Kanye, his earlier days and even still now, he taught us some things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So do you come from that aspect, like that realm too, of saying, hey, like Kanye taught me more than I learned from my father. I've seen Kanye more than I love Kanye more. You know, just all this type of stuff.
1,000%. Like, I was thinking about it because we knew we was gonna have this conversation. I was thinking like with Kanye's original plight in his music, I want to save my mother, move out the hood, or whatever his college dropout, late registration stuff was, just making it from his current situation to the next. I associate myself with that. That is like always been my thing.
Right.
So just hearing this dude coming out of Chicago, and then eventually find out his father was in DC. I'm like, nah, it's some connections there.
Right.
I'm like, he was down the street on the same streets. He understands.
Right.
So yeah, Kanye, he's just my guy. He's my guy. I'll say that. He's still my guy.
That's cool.
He's still my guy. But like, I wanted that relationship with my father. You understand some type of like, this is where I come from, versus having to put it in an artist. That wasn't my desire, but that's the truth.
That's just how the cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Well, now I have a better understanding.
Yeah.
You know, now if you say it again, I'm like,
It makes sense.
like it makes sense, guys. You know, anybody else that raised eyebrows, like hear them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Hear them out
That's
first
solid logic.
before you pass any judgment on it. But
Yeah.
nah, for sure. I get you.
Mm-hmm.
I get you. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, man.
I mean, to just get deeper and open this conversation, I feel like there's a lot of like situations that you go through and don't go through to kind of make up the person who you are and who you become. And I feel like from being raised with a single mother and raised with no father, it's a lot of things that I feel like I still at 28 attribute to him not being there.
This is a recent discovery, you feel like?
Yeah, like I never actively thought about, or like at first, I never thought about like on a day-to-day, right? My mother's a single mother. Like some of the actions and her responses and stuff was like genuinely just based off of what she was going through, not the fact that she was going through it around a child and I need to project myself a certain way. Like these are raw emotions that can ultimately influence how you see stuff.
Yeah.
And then my mother has always said that people come into your life for two things, to show you what to do and what not to do. I always say my father's one of those people that is an example of things showing me what not to do. But like those things that aren't happening on your day-to-day also shape who you are.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I thought about that because I feel like similar to the therapy thing, I don't feel like we really like, I know I don't. Like I never like really dialed back and dug in to like, because my father, my parents was married by the time they had me. I'm the first non-bastard. But
I'm dead.
I'm just saying.
I'm mad you did jizz.
But like, yeah, like, so, you know, my early life leading up to probably like, maybe like, I was in middle school, maybe like 7th grade. Like, you know, I lived in a house with my father and my mother. Like, we was all together, 7 of us, so we all in there. So I'm like, okay, cool. But then as they started to have issues and divorce, it was like, he was gone.
That's interesting. I don't think I ever knew that. So you went from like 2-parent household to a 1-parent household.
Yeah. With like no real explanation. Because, you know, I'm in middle school, so I'm just like, there's so much going on around me. I never really like unpacked it to be like, what happened? And I don't think it was until like kind of recently when I was just like, did I have abandonment issues? I was like, was I abandoned? But it's like, in the moment, you don't feel that way. Because I'm like, you know, you're in a house of 7 of us, is that you don't ever feel like alone. And I feel like I attribute abandonment with feeling like lonely.
Oh,
But I was like, you know, technically, I think, not to say it hurts more, but it's like, you know, to be present and then that person just not be there, that is like, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't think I like really like thought about that until recently, like probably a couple like months ago, being like, oh, like being in therapy and them asking like, you know, just getting like the background, your profile, like what your life was like. And she had asked me like, oh, do you have abandonment issues? And I was like, do I? Like I might. But that's something I didn't really dig into until I was trying to understand how I felt about other things. So it took me like being at that rock bottom or uncomfortable place to really start like unpacking how the absence of a parent like might have actually affected me. And we're good now. Like, you know, my dad have a great relationship now. We talk all the time. But it's still like, you know, that period of life when he was not there still happened. And it still affected me regardless of, you know, us being great now. We don't just like, you know, mend everything up and make it perfect.
Yeah.
I think I resonate with you a bit more because I'm kind of in the same situation where my father was there for the beginning part of my life, like maybe until I was like 6, 7. I don't remember. But I remember the exact day because it was my birthday, which we'll get into, I guess, at some point. Yeah. But it was my birthday. I remember, like, my father was there up until that point. we would like go out every time. Like him and my mom weren't together, but he'd be around. Like I would go out with him. He would take me to his house or whatever. But it was like one of my birthdays. And I think he was just salty that my mom had moved on at this point and was with my stepdad. And he just like, he dropped off a present and then he left. And I don't think I saw him again from that day until I turned 13-ish. I saw him again on a random day. And then I didn't see him again until recently, actually.
How recent?
Like 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, no, last year.
Last year?
Last year was... So I've talked to him at 7, at like 13, and then 28.
He just call you like, hey, what you having for dinner? Like,
Interestingly enough, it was because I contacted my little brother who I'd never met because he lived with him on Instagram, and I just happened to be talking to him on the phone, and then he got on the phone like, hey, Todd, what's up? It's like, sir, I don't want to talk to you.
that is wild.
It's like, but like, in my mind, I never really harbored any ill intent towards it. It was just kind of like, man, he left, whatever. Like, my stepfather was always the father figure in my life as far as I was, like, from a kid, he was there all the time. But, like, I always knew, it was like, oh, I have my real father. And then when he left, it was like, well, fuck him, I guess. I don't know. Like, it was never, I hate him sort of thing. It was like, I don't know what he was going on he had going on in his life. When I was a kid, it just never, I don't think I really thought about it that much. It was just like, he just disappeared really. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then like, as I got older, I was like, I don't know what was going on with him. And then I saw him again at 13 with my older brother who I'd never met at that time. So it was just, he would pop up randomly. And I know that he lives in the city with us. But it's just like, again, I don't know what's in his mind or why he doesn't want to be around. Or I don't know what relationship him and my mom had, whether she was like, yeah, and if you don't want to be around, don't be around. Or I don't know what that conversation was. I never had that conversation. But it's always been sort of I don't hold any ill feelings to him, but I don't like him.
That's
either.
ill feelings.
Yeah, but it's not like...
Like, you don't hate him.
Yeah, no, I don't hate him, and nor, like, if he's there, I'm going to talk to him. But, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm indifferent towards him, I guess.
Okay, I can see indifference.
It's not like, I don't like him, but I don't dislike him. Like, he's just he's a regular dude now. He's any random person on the street, which is also funny. Just a random thing. When I was taking the subway one day, coming from work, I saw him and my little brother like coming up the subway. He never noticed me.
Wow.
Really?
Yep. The wild. I saw him, knew who he was, and I know for a fact he saw me. I don't think he knew who I was.
Wow.
Because at that point, like I said, last time I saw him was I was like 13.
Yeah.
And this is me like at 24. Wild.
So,
And
like,
I was just
even
like, wow.
after that moment, you still felt no, like,
I was like, how would he know what I look like?
you just
I look like, you
rationalized it?
probably look like him. Like, that's a guess.
Sort of, kind of. But no, I was just like, I ain't seen that nigga. He ain't seen me.
I'm literally baffled. I cannot imagine being in that situation and not feeling some type of, like, anger.
In my mind, it was like, that's crazy. And that's literally, I think that's what I said out loud, was like, that's crazy. And then I kept it pushing.
And you went home and ate dinner?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't cry?
And
at
throw
all?
I probably went home and made like some oodles and noodles and kept living my life.
Yeah.
I think, and the thing is, everybody, when I tell this story, everybody has that same reaction. Like I told our friends Mike and Benjamin, and they were like, we should go run on this man and beat on him.
Where is he at?
They hate him more than I hate him. And I'm like, I don't know him. He's some random dude at this point in my life that I've seen occasionally.
Yeah. Do you feel like, or I guess if you can put it in these words, what percentage of you feeling that way about your biological father is attributed to having a stepfather?
I would say a large percent of it. I think if I didn't have a stepfather, maybe I would harbor more ill feelings towards him. Because, yeah, my stepfather was always there, and he was a great father. So I'm like, I have that father figure also. So maybe that's why I was like, he's just some random dude at this point. He's basically a distant uncle.
A uncle.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
that's
That's hilarious.
that's basically what he is to me. Like some uncle that I don't know, and it's like, oh, you remember him? No,
Yeah.
I don't know this man.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he does pop up and kind of try to act like a father, it's like it's weird to me. I'm like, you're not my father,
Or the mailman.
right? You're just a regular dude.
So, question: would you ever be open to trying to figure out what happened?
No,
At
I
some
don't. I
point?
don't think I care now. At this point, like I'm an adult. I've lived my life. I've gained the knowledge that I need to move on with any other thing. I don't think there's anything I can learn from learning these type of things. Like it just, I don't think it's knowledge that will benefit me in any way.
Right.
Like, I mean, if I was to talk to my mom and be like, what happened at this point? Why wasn't he around? Do you know? Do you have any way of knowing? Because I don't want to talk to him about it because I just don't care.
Right.
I don't care to talk to him, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like going to a random stranger who was like, hey, why didn't you talk to your son? And it was like, I don't care, really.
Yeah.
They be like, what's wrong with you? But
Yeah.
yeah, again, it's like, I think the information seems meaningless to me.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Dang.
All right. So it's
You-
just like no closure.
I don't need it.
Okay.
Ooh, can we? Quick side point. Do y'all believe in closure just as a thing?
It depends what it is.
What it is.
Yeah, it depends on the situation.
'Cause I believe it.
that's
Like,
fair.
you have to. I don't think another person can give you that.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like that is literally like you
Comes
just
from
making
yourself.
peace
Yeah.
with whatever it is. So whatever information that you have or don't have, they could say whatever you ask them questions is cool, but I don't think closure comes until like you're at peace with whatever happened to you and you're just like, I'm good off of it.
No, I like that. I like that. Because to your point, right, like I said, my father passed in 2008. Recently, probably in the last year, I think I was venting to my brother. I don't know exactly what the parameters of the conversation was, but he eventually said, he was like, yo, you don't know what our mother put him through and stuff like that in the situation, like not saying it's just all on the woman and stuff like that. He was like, you just don't know the day-to-day of their relationship that got them to that point.
Right.
And until he said that, I never thought about it. Like he's always just been the bad guy. Like he's always been painted as,
Right.
a good dude in the streets and stuff like that. But as far as being in a relationship and like loving my mother, he has been the enemy my entire life. Up until that moment, I was like, dang, being in a relationship and like going through our struggles, trying to grow and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I never thought about him having to do that.
Yeah.
And my mother having to do that.
And to bring back his question, have you ever thought of asking your mom that question? Like, how was y'all day to day? Do you think she would be honest about that one?
She would.
Okay.
I can confirm that.
All right.
She would.
And then, have you ever thought about asking her that? Do you think that information would serve you in any manner?
Now I'm going back to your point because I don't think I care that much.
Yeah,
Like
see,
when my
yeah.
brother said it, I was like, yo, I never thought about that, but I don't think I care enough to do the research. Probably because he's dead. So I'm like, it really ain't about to serve nothing, but it could.
It could bring
I
something.
never
maybe.
thought about it. It could provide me some type of clarity and make me, reconsider some things.
But at the end of the day, you don't care that much.
At this current point in time, I don't care that much. But
Maybe.
check me into like 2 months. I might have that conversation
Right.
with her.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like that's the reason why I asked. Because I don't want to put anything out there, but if your situation was similar to his, like where his pops passed, do you think you would care a
like
little
regret.
more? Because I mean, it's like a real peculiar situation, But like for you as well, just like is there any type of it seemed like healing, like it seemed like forgiveness. It seemed like something that can truly help you since you got so much like anger towards that. And do you think releasing that anger will help you out in any way, shape, or form possible?
Oh, we parting today. Because I 100%. You want to go first?
I forgot his question. So
Okay,
you go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I meant to ask the question to him, but okay. So if your situation was like, hey, do you think you would want to ask this question, or you think you would still go about it the way you're going about it now?
If my father passed,
Yeah.
don't think so. Because I think it's really because he's really a stranger to me. Like I said, he's a guy that I've met. Well, I knew when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and then since then I've seen 3 times in the greater part of my life. At this point, he's a stranger.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about him. He knows nothing about me besides the fact that we share a name. But
I'm sorry.
My middle name and his
Oh,
name
okay,
are
okay,
the
okay.
same.
I thought you was a
I was saying,
junior
not
or a
tall
second or
junior.
something
No,
like
no,
that.
No, no,
I'm
no.
not
That's a
gonna
good
talk
question. Good
about
question. Good question.
No,
Good question.
no. My middle name is his first name.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, it's again like it doesn't. Other than that, he means nothing to me as a person.
Can I add a quick
So I don't
side
think I'll
question?
care.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like that's the actual answer because there's no point of you from 7 on, right, that has those memories from 1 to 7 with him that you're like, yo, part of me like missed that at any point. No.
Maybe when I was like real young.
Yeah.
But I think once I got into like middle school, no, I don't think I thought about him really. And it's really funny how often he kind of like pops up randomly because another random moment, a guy that went to our high school is my cousin from his side.
Oh.
And we learned that just by talking to each other and then being Facebook friends and being like, oh, you're so-and-so. Your father is my cousin. I'm like, oh, wait, huh? It's wild. So, again, like I said, he kind of pops up randomly in my life just being around, but not around. But, again, he's like a mysterious figure that's in all black. He's like an unlocked character. you just kind of see him off in the distance, but he's never around, really.
Right.
So, again, he's someone I don't know. And so, to answer your question, if he had died like sometime in my life, would I have cared to ask these questions? I don't think so, because again, he's a stranger to me.
Right.
It would be, I guess, a sad thought, like, oh, the person who aided in my birth is passed now. But again, I don't think it would have been that.
I like
I'm
I said,
pressing for you. Yeah.
it in my birth.
Yeah.
I know that's not real.
Yeah.
But that's
Serious.
what it is.
Yeah, no, he's
That's what it
essentially a sperm donor at that point. But yeah, no, he didn't. I don't think I would care.
So I'm a grab your question and I'm gonna answer it as well. You don't feel like any part of not having that connection with him factors into how you operate as a man emotionally on a day-to-day today?
I think it actually does affect me a lot because
There we go.
I want to say the reason that I am very nonchalant about things is because at a very young age, of thinking about the fact that, oh, this person was here and then left and that's just how it was, I had to rationalize that in my own mind as a young kid and just being like, I guess that's just life, I guess. Like, people leave. And that's life, like that sentence, like, that's just life, has kind of been my mantra throughout life. It's kind of like, things happen. And so I've kind of adapted that nonchalantness, like, if things happen, that's just how it is. Yeah, it is what it is. That mantra's kind of stuck throughout me throughout my life. I'm very even kilter, and that's kind of, I think it came from that. Like, at a very base level of, like, this person was here, this was someone that I love dearly, and then they just left. And I know that they're around, like, they didn't die, but they're here. But sometimes they just leave. That's just human nature. Some people just disappear.
So you saying like on a day-to-day you display it nonchalantly, right? If you had to personalize, I guess, that trauma, you display it in nonchalantness into certain things. Do you feel as though you are addressing that, or are you just like, that's just kind of who I am? And not saying like it has to be a bad thing. I'm just curious, like, are you like, sometimes I might want to show a little excitement on something.
I show excitement for things that I'm excited about.
True. Like, so you're acknowledging that it is associated with the absence of your father.
Yes, I think my overall demeanor is associated. It has something to do with the absence of my father, for sure.
But I guess I'm just asking, you haven't done anything past acknowledging that.
Yeah, no. I don't think so. Because I don't know what else I would need
That's
to
fair.
do about it.
That's fair. That's fair.
And, well, actually, because no, I started therapy about this a few years ago, maybe in like like 5 years ago. That was the reason I started therapy. It was like, I'm very nonchalant about a lot of things I feel like I should care about. And I was like, am I a serial killer? Was the initial thought.
I need to know. I have roommates.
I was like, am I a sociopath? Was legitimately the thought that I had in my head, because I was just, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and they was like, people who don't care kill people. And I was like,
Do I?
I was like, I've never thought about killing anyone, but so I had to think about it, and I was like, let me go to therapy, and I'm gonna ask, and be like, I'm very self-aware. I don't care about a lot, and so I was telling the lady this, and she was like, well, let's try to unpack these emotions, and we're gonna do a scrapbook about this. I'm not doing that shit, and then that's kind of where that died.
No.
Essentially, I told her no, and she was like, "No, you should try it." I was like,
Yeah.
and so it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started the work, or I thought I was starting the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think from that moment, I just kind of accepted. I was like, "No, this is just who I am." And so from there, I don't know where to go.
Got you.
Excuse me.
Got you. To also answer the question, I think after listening to you, I guess it's probably what you associate the absence of your father to in your current life. Because like for me, like once I got to the point of acknowledging that his absence is affecting me right now at 28, I'm like, not necessarily directly in what ways, but I'm like, I feel this way, and it's probably because I didn't feel it from this guy. And like I think about just like how I express love, or I'll even say excitement, right? If I just piggyback off of your nonchalant comment, not that the comment was nonchalant, you know what I mean. If I was to piggyback off of that, like sometimes I think on a deeper level, I tell myself, or kind of subconsciously tell myself, that I'm not expressing an emotion a certain way because I've never seen a man close to me express it properly. Like I even know what the definition of a proper thing. So example, right? Like if I just take getting excited over my birthday, right? I feel like I've never seen a man like properly be excited for his birthday. So then that's when kind of what we was talking about a little bit beforehand. That's when you go back to like, am I overly excited for my own birthday? Is this how a man is supposed to feel and express that emotion, right? And then if I had to, and we'll probably circle back to this later, but like just expressions of love. Like I don't, like if I had to take it to my platonic relationships, my romantic relationships, every way I think of how I operate in them, I can associate it with the fact that he was not there for me. I can promise you the path ain't as clear on some other ones, but I'm like, yo, I really don't be thinking like if I just had to take it on a romantic level. Like I've never seen a man love a woman effectively outside of movies and stuff, but that's TV. Like in real life, how are you loving the woman that you have committed your life to? I think because I ain't see examples of that I struggle expressing it in my own relationships sometimes.
So like you feel the emotion, but you struggle with like
yes,
with
just how to say
displaying
it. Just even how to say certain things. Like expressing them with my body and my tone and stuff like that is one thing. But like genuinely just like, what are the words? Sometimes I struggle finding them joints. And I think it's because I think too deeply on like, I ain't seen nobody like me in my household expressing it.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah.
So
How do y'all feel like? Well, I know your situation is obviously different, but do you feel like even period, like having a father and not having one, how do you feel like that kind of seeps into how you express love? Like, do you feel like you have a better idea of it because you have a dad? And do you feel like Curtis, whereas like you don't have that example, so it's like you struggle with expressing it too?
I mean, it all depends, but obviously my situation with my mom and dad's been together. I don't think he never really truly showed the love. I mean, well, not show. I'm not gonna say he didn't. I didn't really see it on a day-to-day basis.
To your mother.
To my mother,
right?
You know, on like a day-to-day basis. Other than like him being around, I'm not saying he just like, you know, I'm here, but I don't want to be here type stuff. But you can tell he loved her, but I don't think he properly know how to express love. You know, and so for me to grow up and even me to have a mother and father in the household, I still struggle with showing love too because it's based on what I saw. Like you said, like are you doing it? Like there's TV love but it wasn't TV love in my household,
Yes.
but I had it. But I had the mom and dad inside there. You know, so like we all talking about daddy issues. I got my own set of daddy issues where you guys got yours, where it's just like I just express showing any emotion, period, because of what I saw in the household, like how my father was, just how he ruled the household. You know,
Like more militant, like he was.
yeah. Well, yeah. You can say militant. You can say that. You know, it was like
Like we do what we need to do, and that's kind of it.
yeah, or you do what I tell you to do. Yeah. But okay, so
Okay.
militant. Yeah.
Okay.
You come in, if the dishes ain't clean, that's your ass. You know, if your book bag on the floor, that's your ass. You know, it was like that. You know, and you knew he loved you. Well, at the time, maybe not.
Because you just
Because
get yelled at.
feel like love.
Right. The woman didn't feel like love at all. Man. They didn't feel like love. But he never made it seem like he hated us. You know, it was certain moments where he would probably just, talk out the side of his neck to us. You know, but at the same time too, it wasn't constant. It wasn't like what you see in the TV shows, or some people actually go through it.
Yeah.
When a father or mother, whoever comes home and constantly just verbally abuse their children. It wasn't that. You know, so but back to it, just seeing how he loved, it's different. It's different. Now I'm forever grateful for having him inside the household, and even to this day, forever grateful because he fundamentally I'm solid, and that's because of him. You know, like those whoopings meant something. You know, it's the reason why I am today. That's the reason why I'm not out getting in trouble. That's the reason I'm on a straight and narrow. About my business, all this type of stuff, it's because of him. You know, but the love aspect of it all, I wish I would have seen differently. You know, so I can express more. But that's why I ask those questions about closure, and want to know that because I've mentioned to you I don't know how many times where I just like, as I got older, I started to rationalize these feelings. I'm like, oh snap! Like I want to know why. Why am I distant from my family? Why did this happen with this person? Why did this happen with that person? Why am I like this with my brothers? I want to ask these questions. I began to have to ask those questions to him because I'm older now, and I want to understand why I operate how I operate because I'm not okay with how I operate, and you guys know it's very hard to change it without asking those questions and getting the knowledge about it.
That's true.
So yeah.
So I know you're gonna answer. Like getting the answer to those questions. Are you hoping like they propel you forward into a relationship possibly with some of these people, or are you just like, I just need to know?
I need to know.
You just need to know.
Because I'm still to that point where I'm like, I had a situation kind of like with Todd, but obviously with my father. I see my aunt in the NBA. And I was like, dang, that's my aunt. And she walked right past me. And as a matter of fact, she asked me, she said, is this the line? I said, yeah. And I was like,
That might be work.
but she didn't notice me either.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, that's my aunt. And she's like, this the line? I said, yeah. And I'm just like, but to me, I'm just like, I don't. Like, at this point, it's like, because I think you mentioned it earlier, where I feel like if you're the older individual in the family,
Yes.
if you're the grandmas, you're the uncles, you're the big brothers,
You make the effort.
you make that because I was younger, and you never reached out. So guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to reach out. So who am I to reach out to you? Younger than you, you know? So, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to
Like what it
mending
could-
in a relationship.
Yeah.
But I just want to know and say, okay, cool, because now with knowledge in my mind, and when I have my offspring, my children, or even to my nieces and nephews, which I still struggle with because of what I learned, I can give them that information and say, hold up, I think I know. Because it's about breaking generational curses. Because if you do it and your father did it, your children might do it too. Who knows? You want to break it. So yeah.
For sure.
Right. Can you repeat your question?
Do you feel like, I can't remember my question. Do you feel like not having a father similar to Kurt's affects are you able to show love, like, or just express your emotions and stuff? Do you think it affects that in any way?
It's weird. I'm kind of like a mosh of everybody
Yeah,
here.
yeah, facts.
Because my stepfather was kind of like how your father was, very militant. He was around. He was about his business. He's like, do this, do this. It wasn't like, he wasn't very lovey-dovey, but he was around and he took care of everybody. He was a typical father figure that you would
The
see.
provider.
Right. He was around. The whoopings again, they were there. But like, I think it's a mix of the two, in the sense of like, I know what it's like to have a father figure around and how to be a good father, because my stepfather was a good father to me. And then I also see the side of, like, it's also very easy to just leave. Like, it was nothing to my father, my biological father, to just be gone. So I think it's a mix of it. But in terms of like showing emotions or showing love in that way, I think I mainly learned that from my mom, I guess. So I don't think that has anything to do with them. It's just like my mom was always a very communicative, if that's a word, but I made it,
It is
a word if it is.
It is
She
today.
was always she was good at communicating with us, and she was always very loving. Like, she made up for any non-love that I was getting from my father or my stepfather. She showered us with such. So, like, she was always very like, if you need anything, you can talk to me about this. So I've always kind of had that in my mind. Like, if I need to communicate these feelings, I can, but I just generally don't. Like, I know I can speak about it if asked directly. If it's never asked, it won't come out.
Yeah.
Is, I guess, how that works. So yeah, I think it's a mix of all of that together.
So that's important because, like, I'm gonna ask the question to you two as well, since you just answered his own. It's like, since I didn't have, like, it was 7 of us in my household, 7 brothers. So, my mom, she did provide that love, but it's so many of us. It's just like, who needs it the most? So some of us didn't get that. So for you two, did your mom provide that love that obviously you didn't get from your pops?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I was about to say this whole thing has been talking about our fathers, but I cannot stress enough that my mother gave everything humanly possible to this day from her that I can think of to try to make up for the absence of a father. I think she always prided herself on being able to come and talk to her and stuff like that. Granted, my mother's a little bit older, so she talk a little hard sometimes, stuff like that. So the conversations ain't necessarily work all the time. But like, she always was like, no, I want to know what y'all going through. Like, talk to me. We gonna figure it out. And she did her damnedest every time to figure it out. So I feel like there was not a lack of love in my household. It was just the absence of a different type that I always was just curious what it felt like.
Okay.
See, this is so interesting to me, because obviously, I'm a lady most days. So I'm not, it's interesting, even though I will say, like, there's definitely times in life when I was younger, and even like, currently where you see, like, whether it's on TV or just other people, and you see like their relationships, like with their dads, and it's like, oh, like they call their father for everything. Like, he always been there, like in high school, like picking you up, like daddy's girls being spoiled. Like, I've always like kind of like been a little bit like envious of people that had that, because obviously I didn't at that age where I feel like it probably would have been most impactful. But do I feel like so in that sense, yes, I do think that probably definitely contributed to me not having a really good concept of what love actually looked like coming from a man. Like, when someone cares about you and being like, okay, that's a sign of somebody actually caring versus someone maybe not having good intentions. So it definitely maybe took me a little bit longer to like form some type of discernment when it came to men because of that. But again, like my mom, like you said, she did her thing. But I never felt like I was like lacking in love. And I have a pretty like close knit family too. Like, we're pretty kind of maybe uncomfortably close sometimes. So I don't ever feel like I was lacking in that department. But it was definitely times where I was like, jealous of seeing like, other girls that had like their dads and how their fathers would be about them and stuff. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that.
Right.
So question again. So listen to you speak, like, I wouldn't say you answered it, but you kind of did. But did she show the love that you fight? Because like, did you receive that love in the household, like from your mom on the?
I definitely did, but I also feel like by my father not being there, my mother, she's a little bit more not rough around the edges, but you know, she definitely made up for what a male figure probably was supposed to do in the house as far as like discipline and stuff. Like,
And she was playing DMX at 7:30.
what more could you ask for? Literally, that was my life.
So it was like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think she did. Like, she did a very good job of like, she was definitely the enforcer, and I think not having him there probably did make her have to be a little bit more. I don't want to say rough because it's not rough. It was just
of
like
an enforcer. She had to be an enforcer
yeah.
on top
So yeah,
of showing that.
and
look.
it's also 7 of us, so you probably got to be the enforcer maybe 80% of the time, and then maybe 20% of the time you get to be in the kitchen baking a cake and like, oh, let me happy Valentine's Day, girls.
Quintessential
Yeah,
feminine things.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like it definitely like she definitely had to like I guess step into her masculine energy way more than just being like I said like the apron on baking a cake type of mom because she had to be. So honestly, I feel like I probably got more of maybe what I thought a father love would be from my mom than the other soft stuff sometimes. So did that answer this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
I feel like we've had a really good conversation. Yeah, I think it might get
It was like right at 40.
I mean, unless we can chop out all of this right now. If anyone has anything else to say, go.
No.
That's the end. That's the end right there. Cool beans.